Okay, I'm gonna apologize. I am really sick, I think, with a cold. I thought it was my allergies because I'm usually sick around this time of year, but this is definitely a cold. But I seen a tweet that's going around and it's getting a lot of traction, so I just wanted to get ahead of the misinformation before it got out of control. Anyway, so here is the tweet that is going around. So Milton East, Halton Hills South riding flipped to the Liberals with a 29 vote lead. There are 412 rejected ballots. We can see them. So yeah, so you can see that this was originally called for Parham Gill, and then they did a recount and realized that because it was so close, and realized that it was actually in favor of Christina Tesser-Dirksen, who is the Liberal, and so this is the problem they're having right there, the 412 rejected ballots. Obviously, this guy has absolutely no idea how election counts are done, okay? Because first of all, those 412 rejected ballots would have been there on the very first count when they called Parham Gill the winner. They didn't magically get rejected between when they called for him being the winner to when they did the recount and then found out it was actually Christina. Now, I heard from an inside source that apparently what happened is that they found that one of the numbers was put in incorrectly, which gave Parham the win in the first place. But because it was such a close race, they have to automatically recount. And when they did the recount, they found that the typo in the number and found that it was actually for Christina. The other thing, guys, even if this wasn't the case where the 412 ballots, okay, were included in the first count, which they weren't, there are scrutineers that are there during the vote counts, okay? There'll be scrutineers specifically for the Conservative Parham Gill and the Liberal. And so when there is something wrong with the ballot, person who, is counting it, holds it up in front of everybody. It says, okay, this is what's wrong with this ballot. This ballot was, let's just say, it was marked for Parham Gill, but somebody put their signature on it instead of an X. Do you want to keep this? Do you consider it rejected? Do you want to fight for it? And then they get to talk and they get to give their reasoning. All right. And then it's sort of a group decision, I guess. I don't know. But they get to fight for the vote. But the thing is that most of the time a rejected ballot is something that somebody has gone and done purposely, or they've spoiled it because they don't understand the process. So either they didn't put an X, they maybe put their signature, or they put marks elsewhere on the ballot, or they decided, like I had a friend that was working the election and said there were people that were ranking, thinking that, it's like Australia, and they were ranking the candidates. That's a spoiled ballot. Other people I know said that people were writing in names, like Santa Claus or Trump or whatever, or they wrote in Polyev. So those would be a spoiled ballot. There's multiple reasons why a ballot would be rejected, and it might have not even had Parham Gill or anybody's name on it. Like I said, they could have wrote in Trump, and then the vote just doesn't count towards anybody anyway. So this big conspiracy that you guys think is going on, that the Liberals are stealing fucking wins from these ridings by these recounts due to rejected ballots, is ridiculous. So like I said, the first time around that Parham Gill was shown as the winner, those 412 ballots were there as rejected. They didn't magically change between the two counts. They were there. They are not counted at all. For those of you that are also, I've seen a lot of tweets asking to see those rejected ballots. Those are private. Nobody is allowed to see somebody's rejected ballot because, like I said, some people put their signature on it. So then you would know that Bob Smith, that wrote Bob Smith on his ballot, fucked up and ended up having his ballot rejected. So no, you're not allowed to see them. You just have to have faith in the scrutineers that were working for Parham Gill to be able to do their job and defend any votes that would have been for Parham Gill. That's just the way our system is. So, but I understand, guys, like you lost, you're having a hard time dealing with it. I'm seeing a lot of conservative influences are sort of having crash out moments right now, and they're desperately grasping at straws for any reason to explain why their guy didn't win. But your guy just didn't win. There is no great conspiracy here, okay? You can't rig Canadian elections. We use pen and paper. We have so many safeguards in place so that you can't rig an election. Even Alberta wants to go away from tabulators because they feel it's safer just to go back to pen and paper. tallying. So I don't know what to say, but this is not healthy for you guys. You need to just let it go. Focus on the future. Look what's going to happen with the government and the choices that they're going to make. And just go outside, touch grass, take a walk, breathe. Breathe, guys, because this is not healthy.